Hey everybody. I was antsy. I started a little bit early. It was a stressful week, and it was a stressful night as the folks next door decided to blast, and I mean blast music till 2:30 in the morning. So I'm on about 3 hours of sleep. And I literally just found some stuff knocked off the shelves in my office because it's kind of close to where they were. Yeah. It was already a rough week for not wanting to give in to hatred. And that was really the cherry on top, man. That was something else. But good morning, good Sunday morning to everybody. I hope it's a good day. I really hope it's a good day. Because I could really use a good day and a relaxing day after some of the stuff I've seen this last week. Some absolutely incredible stuff, some vile stuff. And I know this is like, I try to keep this free from politics and stuff like that. But it's not always easy. And I can tell you, there's times where I just wanted to kind of go out there and just have a little catharsis, you know. I will say that, man, as many vile things were put out on social media this week, there was a lot of good stuff too, and a lot of hopeful stuff. But it's tough. It's tough. And what I was dealing with last night's kind of a microcosm of just like, who does this to their neighbors? You know? Who does that? I won't go on about it, but I will say this though. If you're one of the people who was spewing hatred, and I don't know that I'd have anybody who did that, watching one of these streams. I don't have a lot of people watching these streams, period. But your soul is sick, right? Or if you want to put it on a secular, materialistic basis, we talk about psychology, right? Psychosis, and the psyche is Greek for soul. Okay, so even the psychologists are basically, whether most of them nowadays would know it or not, are dealing with the soul or trying to. So get some help. If you're wishing death upon people, celebrating murder, get some help. You don't want to live that way. I mean, you're setting down a set of rules that will potentially come back to you, right? Because in any game, both sides play by the same rules, ultimately. If you're breaking rules, if you're cheating, the other side's going to do the same thing. At some point they will. But more importantly, just for your own mental health and your own spiritual health, you don't want to be there. You really don't want to be there. You can see it on the faces of a lot of these people who made videos and things like that, that there's, like, they know what they're doing is wrong and terrible, and I guess that's what gives it power for them. But you could see they look unwell and they look unhappy. That's a terrible place to be. It's a terrible place to be. And you don't want to be there. So my advice is get some help so you're not there. and it'll be better for you in the long run. Man of War, hey brother. Yeah, like, you know, I really wanted yesterday to be a day to decompress just generally, right? And it was a pretty decent day for the most part. You know, watched some things, read some things, got a video made. Want to do another one today, see if I have time, or if I have the will or the energy. And, you know, it's like, okay, well, it's time to, you know, start cycling down for the night. And yeah, they got their shit started at 9:30 at night. This is a residential neighborhood. Their backyard's next to my house. They had a live band. They had it turned way up. Like I said, it was shaking walls and crap. And they went to 2:30 in the morning. It went to 2:30 in the morning. And it's like, dude, and no shit, I was at one point lying there, like trying, maybe I could fall asleep just from sheer exhaustion. And I was reciting the Jesus prayer because I'm like going, I don't want to hate. I don't want to hate. I don't want to hate. And I won't lie to you. It was around two in the morning or so. And I think it was actually getting a little louder as they went. I looked at my wife and I said, I failed. I hate these people. I hate these people. I'm doing my best and I'm asking God for forgiveness, but man, it was like fucking rough. Like, I get it, dude. You want to throw a party Saturday night, it's fine, you know, but like, dude, there needs to be a limit, you know, and especially like at a certain point, like bring the party indoors. There's places you could rent, things you could bring the party indoors, you know, because if it was just people talking and stuff like that, it would be fine. It's no big deal. You can block a lot of that stuff off with some white noise or what have you. It's cool. Like, it is. But what they were doing was just fucking outrageous, man. Outrageous. My wife made me laugh, though. Because there is an episode of Car 54. Where are you? I want to say it's called Boom Boom. That I think's one of the funniest episodes of television, period. It was a revelation when I watched it. I couldn't believe it. That concerns this guy who is being tormented by this barbershop quartet music. And it all starts with boom, 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 boom. And they basically drive this guy insane by the end of the episode. He's completely insane. And she brought that up, and I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. Boom, 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 boom. I can't do any more fucking boom, boom. I try to laugh about it the best you can, but man, I got to be honest with you. Like, my nerves are fucking stretched thin right now. If I hear any noise come from over there today, I'm not going to do anything illegal. I'm not going to do anything like, I'm not going to attack anybody or anything like that. But like, I don't know what the fuck I am going to do. Sorry for cursing, but I don't know what I'm going to do because I can't take that shit anymore. I cannot take that shit anymore. Hey, let's talk about more pleasant stuff. There were, look, other than the obvious news of the week, there wasn't a lot that I was interested in news-wise. I thought it might be fun to talk about some cooler, fun stuff. I got the manga. Really, I think this is the first manga I've ever actually owned. The Common America Alpha. I have no idea if I'm going to like this or not, but I follow some of the folks who do it and put it out, and kind of like them on Twitter, like some of the things they have to say. And they did this little, like a little promo, like a preview type of thing for it. And I liked it. And I'm like, screw it. I'm going to buy the thing. I'm going to give it a shot, Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if I like it. Obviously it does involve, what's that? Boom anime babes that make me think the wrong thing, right? There's that. But I like the folks who do it. They seem to have a cool attitude generally online. So I haven't read it yet. I got it yesterday. I haven't looked at it yet. And then I got this in the mail yesterday. This was like one of my favorite cartoons growing up. I don't know if there's any other Speed Buggy fans out there. I loved this. I loved Speed Buggy. It's been like out on DVD for a while, and I'd never picked it up. Well, that's an interesting packaging. No, it doesn't seem like it flips open. Interesting. Sorry, here I am. Like I said, 3 hours of sleep, man. Like, I figured this stream could boost my viewership because I might either go stark raving insane in the middle of it, or I might fall asleep like midstream, and maybe it'll go viral. Like, oh, dude, you got to go look. There's this guy. He's like this old fart. He's sleeping on. I might go one way or the other. Anyhow, Speed Buggy. Yeah, like the cartoons I remember as a kid. When I say kid in this case, I'm talking like 5, 6, 7. I remember a lot of Super Friends. Loved Super Friends. Underdog. Johnny Quest. I remember seeing that like on Sundays. But Speed Buggy was big. Grape Ape was big. And honestly, you'll watch some of this stuff now as an adult. You're like, oh. But like, there's a nostalgia factor in there. I try to talk about that in some of the stuff because I did a review. I think it was this week of crap. What cartoon was it now? This is how tired I am at the moment. Because what's lodged in my head is this week one of the cartoons I'm reviewing is Genie, the old Genie cartoon from the early 70s. So I got Genie in my brain, and I'm literally not remembering what the hell I actually reviewed this last week. Oh, The Thing. Yeah, The Thing. Okay. It's kind of a weird little cartoon. And you got to look at this stuff. There's a nostalgia factor for a lot of people, and it's important. Man of War is talking about like decompression. Sometimes that stuff's really good for that. Like, kind of take you back into an old frame of mind when things were simpler. I mean, they weren't necessarily simpler for your parents, but you're a kid. A lot of times it's simpler for you. And that's why I review some of these old cartoons. Because I had some people like thanking me, like, oh, I love that cartoon, man. I hadn't thought about it in a long time, kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, man, that's one of the things I like to do with the channel is just introduce new things to people. And look, if you've never seen the Thing cartoon, it's kind of a trip, and it's not a bad cartoon. It's kind of like a little bit like a sitcom. It's weird if you're a Fantastic Four fan. If you're a Ben Grimm fan, it's just kind of weird. It doesn't really make sense. It plays with the lore in odd ways, and all that. But so it's like it's cool to be able to introduce new things to people because it's one of the things I've really enjoyed online and streams and stuff where people will talk about this, or on Twitter sometimes. Somebody will post something from some old movie, and I'm like, oh, what's that? Go look and see if I can find it streaming or what have you. And it kind of broadens your horizons. Like in the last couple of years, I've discovered a lot of like British TV shows that I really love. Old ones, stuff from like the 60s, 70s, 80s. And I wouldn't get that if I wasn't hanging around online looking at stuff. So, but then also, I thought Tinker was Shaggy Moonlight. Yeah, Tinker is really close to Shaggy. Really, really close to the Shaggy design. And it's kind of amazing that Scooby-Doo is created by Joe Ruby, and Ken Spears. And a lot of us who are my age, like, we put Thundar the Barbarian in a very special place in our hearts. That's Ruby Spears, right? They did a bunch of good stuff. And they did the Plastic Man cartoon that I reviewed a while back. It's kind of an interesting story about how they got to start, but they started with Hanna-Barbera, and they basically invented Scooby-Doo. And it's amazing how Scooby-Doo becomes this template for cartoons for probably the next 20 years. I mean, besides all the Scooby-Doo spin-off things, but like Speed Buggy is basically Scooby-Doo, right? Captain Caveman, and the Teen Angels, Funky Phantom, they are. And in a way, the Thing one is a little bit like that too. Some of the episodes, not all of them, but they're a little bit like that. And it's like, so you got the sort of brave, good-looking sort of hero, right? Like Freddy, and then it depends. Sometimes you'll have like a Daphne type character. Sometimes you'll have a Velma character. Sometimes they're kind of combined. Depends. Then you're always going to have the goofy guy, the Shaggy, the Tinker. And then, of course, a lot of times you're going to have, or not a lot of times, every time you're going to have some odd addition to the cast. Scooby-Doo, the Talking Great Dane. Speed Buggy, the Talking Car. Funky Phantom, the Ghost. What you name it, the Thing, right? And I mean, growing up, like, there's a lot of cartoons that follow that basic structure. From Scooby-Doo, you could probably base Scooby-Doo on a few things, and one of those would be Archie Comics. There's definitely an element of Archie Comics to it in the characters, the kind of archetypes of it. But it's amazing, man. Thundar and Hercules. Yeah. Herculoids is amazing, dude. And talk about basic. Like, it's just, the Herculoids are hanging out on their planet. Some bastards show up to cause trouble. The Herculoids beat the shit out of them. And they leave. And that's like essentially every friggin' episode, right? I mean, it is the thinnest plot. But it's kind of like that with like Super Sentai stuff. Like every Power Rangers, I mean, you call them Power Rangers, whatever you want to call them, Super Sentai Power Rangers. Every episode is basically the same idea. It's the same formula. Even like Voltron is kind of like that too, of like, weird monster shows up, we go out and we fight it, and it defeats us like a couple times, and then we get the upper hand finally because we've resolved some issue in ourselves or as a group, and then it grows giant, and we got to get in our big robot and we got to kill the thing. And that's like, and so you're going like, well, how boring. What a boring plot. But it's like, no, but it's not the plot. Like sometimes it's the characters. Like who doesn't have, from, if you grew up on it, who does not have a favorite Herculoid? Of course and it's like, you're just jazzed. Who didn't have a favorite dude on Voltron and the Lion? Like which one was your favorite? I think for me, I think it was Hunk. I think that's what they called him in the American version, with the yellow lion. Like that was my dude. I liked him. In the Herculoids, I think it was probably Igu, the big rock ape. I tend to move. If you look at the characters I like and stuff, man, there's such a pattern. It's like usually not the handsome leader type. It's never like the roguish butthole. It's usually the really solid support dude who tries to keep everything alive, like the Foundation, the Thing, Hunk, Scotty from Star Trek. Like those are like typically my favorite dudes in things, and it's sort of what I've kind of tried to emulate in my life, not necessarily on purpose. I just sort of, it syncs with my personality a little bit. So like at work, like I've been in the same basic company. There's had a couple changes, but around me, but for about 30 years now. So solid. Boom. I plant myself, and that's where I'm at. And I'm sort of looked at as the go-to guy for a lot of stuff. They can depend on me. They can rely on me and stuff. And it's not like I'm going, as a kid, someday I want to be like Scotty. I want to be the guy who keeps the Enterprise alive. Because remember, Captain Kirk, awesome, coming up with the plans, coming up with the schemes. Captain Kirk don't get nothing done without Scotty keeping the Enterprise functioning. There's no heroic escapes for Captain Kirk, for a lot of episodes without Scotty in the engineering room, keeping the ship functioning, getting the engines back online, etc. And so, but as a kid, I wasn't like, I want to be Scotty when I grow up. I just sort of like naturally, I kind of connected with that dude of like, that's how I see myself. Maybe, I don't know. It was weird. Fins, what's up, brother? It's the over-the-top kaiju Thanksgiving turkey mozzie. Yeah. Oh, dude, they had that on. Did they? Yeah, I think they had that on an Aquabats episode. It's the one with Pilgrim Boy. Where there's... No, I'm getting that wrong. It wasn't. It was a... It was like a giant... It was a giant bug. It was attacking the pineapple fields around Detroit. Because it's the Aquabats and it's not really supposed to make sense. And I think that was the one... I think that was the first one Weird Al had a guest spot in as the President of the United States. And then he would be in a later one as... What was he called? Super Magic something man. Yeah. It's usually a giant bug. It's not always a giant bug, though. Come on, Godzilla's not a giant bug. All right, come on. Gamera, giant turtle. Inside he is turtle meat. Right? Come on. But yeah, I love Herculoids, and I love Johnny Quest. I love Johnny Quest beyond all reason. Johnny Quest, to me, is like... Hanna-Barbera, their importance to animation is... Well, it's obvious in some ways, and it's not obvious in others, because a lot of people will look down on the quality of Hanna-Barbera stuff in this day and age. But even in Aquabats, honey, there's also the giant tortilla monster. Come on, let's be honest. But people complain about the quality of Hanna-Barbera, but like these dudes figured out how to make cartoons profitably on TV. And prior to that, if you look at what animation you had prior to that on television, like made for television, you have like Crusader Rabbit. There was one that was like, was it like Commander Zip or something like that? If you look at Crusader Rabbit, you're going, it's kind of animated, it's sort of animated. You had your Clutch Cargo and Space Angel. And Space Angel, if you've never seen Space Angel, I'm serious. Like, first of all, it's funny because it's the still frame and then the lips are moving because it's actual person's lips. They would take a thing like a tube and they would hold the camera up and they would have a person talk the lines, right? And then, and so Conan O'Brien did that later on his thing. He did the Clutch Cargo thing with like President Clinton and stuff. And that's funny. And it is goofy, right? But Space Angel, the design on that thing was done by Alex Toth. And it is freaking gorgeous. It is some of the best design work. And of course, he would go on to design a ton of stuff for Hanna-Barbera. I think he did the Herculoids. I know he did Space Ghost. I'm pretty sure he invented the look of Space Ghost. Toth was freaking amazing. And, Toth was pretty good with the Good Girl art. So Crystal in Space Angel, as goofy a cartoon as it might be, you look at it and you're going, Crystal, she's kind of hot actually, right? And her voice was provided by the lady who played, she did Tinkerbell in the old Peter Pan cartoon. But I'm trying to think. No, she didn't voice Tinkerbell, obviously, because Tinkerbell didn't have a voice, but she was like the body inspiration for Tinkerbell. And I wondered if she wasn't the body inspiration for Crystal as well. But Anyhow, it apparently is, Fins, it is apparently Toth. Before I heard people online talk about it, I would have said Toth. I would have said Alex Toth. But I have heard enough comic professionals say Toth that now, I got to show off and know that I know how to pronounce that. And if you've ever watched some of my streams, I will hit a name every once in a while, and it's like, oh shit, I don't know how to pronounce this. Like some people will say J.M. DeMatteis, and I've heard people say J.M. DeMatteis. So I'm like, I think it's DeMatteis. So that's what I've been saying. And I'm not popular enough for him to notice and come in and say, hey, you're mispronouncing my name, idiot. So anyhow, more to Scooby-Doo Flintstones ago. Yeah, I mean, again, the thing with, C-Lab, yeah. The thing with Johnny Quest was just, how do you do an action cartoon with limited animation on a limited budget? Because you're trying to do realistic human figures. And it's not easy. And, I mean, you look at it, and there's a lot of animation in it that's not really 100% animation. It's, a lot of still things with just the lips moving, but that's kind of what Hanna-Barbera figured out. Like, if you wonder why all of the animal characters on Hanna-Barbera have like a necktie or something around their neck, it's because that would allow them to draw the body, right? And then only animate the head. It made it easier. So the head could be talking and the body's not really moving. So you're not having to redraw the entire thing every time. Your animator's just drawing the head sequences and you're putting it on the same body, which is basically, still, or maybe just a little like an animation sequence where they're running. They always have the arms down and the legs moving. Yeah. So they figured out how to do this stuff and make it profitably. But if you look at the stuff that came before, it's really crude, right? I mean, even stuff that came a little after that didn't have what they were doing going for them, like this old Marvel Comics ones, where it's basically still frames from Jack Kirby comics with voices. And that's one of the things that pissed off Kirby too, was like, you're using my art. Where's my money? Why am I not getting a taste of the cartoon money? It's like, oh, it's called work for hire, Jack, and it sucks, but there it is. Any rate, yeah, there's a ton of great little fun cartoons out there. I try to cover a few of them if I can. Like I said, I got Genie coming up next week, which is kind of it's actually one that doesn't use the Scooby-Doo premise. It's really much more of like a sitcom for kids with a slightly different version of Genie, of course, with Babu, Yapple Dapple, right? Which at the time was just goofy, but now I'm like, dude, that's Joe Besser. That's kind of rad. So anyhow, and I think in October I'm prepping a review of Fang Face, because my big thing this October, I like to have a little bit of a theme. My theme for October is werewolves, and I've already today I need to do I need to tape a review of tape. How old am I? I don't give a shit. I'm calling it taping anyways. Need to tape a review of Werewolf of London. I got that one prepped. I'm going to do The Wolfman, of course, classic. I'm going to do, and I got this one prepped already, Cry of the Werewolf. It's Cry, right? Not Call. Cry. I think it's Cry. Cry of the Werewolf. Interesting, kind of weird little film. It has actually some good stuff in it, and has some stuff that's maybe not quite as good. It was low budget. I'm going to do She-Wolf of London, and then I'm going to round it out at the end of the month with I Was a Teenage Werewolf. I've been chomping at the bit to do these werewolf movies. I'm finding that, like, because last October it was mummy movies, and most of them, to be honest with you, I didn't think were like really that good. And I had a ball doing it though. So I've been looking forward. I've had these planned on my little, I have basically a schedule where I plan ahead all the stuff I'm doing, because some stuff requires prep time. So it's like, and keep in mind, like, I'm doing a werewolf video, I'm doing it this weekend, but it's not going to be like for another couple weeks when it'll be aired. So I'm usually trying to be a couple weeks ahead of what I'm doing. And the prepping needs to happen before that. So I have stuff usually plotted out that I want to do, a couple months ahead. But the October stuff I had plotted out in January. Like, this is what I'm doing. And so Fang Face, I knew I could find copies of Fang Face to watch. So I've been watching Fang. And you know what? Fang Face is kind of interesting. I never saw it as a kid. But I had a Fang Face book from like my book orders, Scholastic book orders. So I've never really watched Fang Face. And it was done in the same block as Plastic Man by Ruby Spears. And I did that review a while back. And there's some similarities too. There's some really interesting villains in the show. Like, I love the design on a lot of them. There's always stuff you can find that's cool in these things. I promise you, even if it's not great overall. Finn says, it's funny, man, Werewolf was hands down my favorite monster as a kid, dressed in for Halloween, the whole works. As I got older, I kind of grew out of the werewolves for whatever reason. Now they're pretty low on monster list. Maybe it's time for a change. Yeah, the thing about werewolves is like, Dracula's a character and Frankenstein is a character, right? And even in Universal wise, the Gill Man, the creature from the Black Lagoon, is like a character. Werewolf is like a concept. So like the Werewolf of London is a totally different sort of werewolf as the Wolfman that Lon Chaney plays. Now, that Wolfman becomes kind of a character in all the Monster Mash movies. And I'm going to do those some October. I'll do a bunch of the Monster Mash. But it's often a different take. And of course, nowadays it tends to be a much bloodier take in movies than back then. Like in Werewolf of London, he's attacking a few people. There's almost a Jekyll Hyde thing going in that one. So he's attacking and killing people, but of course they don't really show it, nowadays they would, and they'd show it in great detail. But yeah, so with Wolfman, you get a lot of really kind of interesting takes on it. And I think with Frankenstein and Dracula, the Universal movie versions were so, big, and they were re-released those through the years as well, that was kind of like the conception. That's a vampire. That's, and it was a lot later, I think, that you start seeing other versions of a vampire character showing up in things that aren't based upon the Bela Lugosi, Dracula, and maybe other versions of the Frankenstein, which might be even more true to the book than the Boris Karloff Frankenstein. Those were so big. But with werewolves, yeah, they kind of play with it a lot. And it's kind of cool. Like, you get to see different takes on the idea. I think more often than you do with some of the other monsters. Are you going to, dude, they ain't putting out the Fruit Brute, Man of War. But I have polished off a box of Frankenberry over the last couple weeks. And my wife got some more. Dude, so it was right after one of my streams. Like I said, you got you're sort of on when you're doing these things. You got to come down a little bit. And it was after that. And so I went out and I watched Real Genius. Okay. With Val Kilmer movie. Right. And I'd never watched it before. It was one of those ones I just missed when I was younger. So I watched it and it was kind of it was a lazy day. It was kind of cloudy and stuff. And when it was over, we'd had that Frankenberry sitting in the kitchen for a week. And I'm like, I'm going to have a bowl of Frankenberry. What the hell, man? I'm going to have some Frankenberry cereal. So I go in there, make a little bowl. Went out on the patio with the dog. It's kind of windy. It's kind of cloudy. I'm eating my Frankenberry, and it was this feels good, man. This feels good. So somehow Frankenberry has wormed its way into my head as this is a comfort food. And I never had Frankenberry. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever had it before in my life. And we might have, but I think we bought it before. I might have had some of it, but it was not a part of my childhood. My mom, we ate healthier cereals, more or less, when I was a kid. We did not get sugar cereals. We got Raisin Bran, which obviously has sugar and sweet and stuff in it. And we had Life, like Cinnamon Life, which I actually like that quite a bit. A lot of Rice Chex. I remember eating a lot of Rice Chex as a kid too. When I was in high school and like had a job, I started buying myself Fruit Loops. Because you don't build this body without working at it, my friends. That's like the first time I really was eating sugar cereals. Hell, I knew all the commercials, but I never really ate that stuff. Lady Wendelin, I loved Fruit Brute. He doesn't get any love. Always chocolate, Frankenberry, and Blueberry. Yeah, I know. And they have re-released Fruit Brute at some point, but not as often. And Yummy Mummy, they've done, I think, once. And then they made a new one up that I want to say was like a cinnamon cereal with like a female, I don't know, she was kind of like a zombie on it. And I can't remember what she was named. Yeah, it's not easy to get some of the monster cereal either. My wife had to look around to get a resupply of it. But now we got some Blueberry because she got the big box that has Frankenberry, Blueberry, and Chocula in bags in it. So now we got some Blueberry. I'm going to maybe try that today, see if I can chill out with that. Manowar says Blueberry was his preferred monster cereal, but Applejack, dude. Yeah, again, Applejacks is something I tasted when I was like in high school. And I was like, Applejacks is rad. That's really good. It's mostly cinnamon, right? But I mean, shit, cinnamon's really good. Dude, that's fun discussion. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Like, I love the chatting because God, I needed to chill. I thought I'd look at some of the comics that I picked up. And I think Finns will dig this first one. We have rescued a Nancy comic that has some minor damage to the front cover. Just a little minor damage to the front cover. But it was like a couple bucks. And my wife showed it to me. Guys, I got to tell you something. If you can get yourself a awesome wife, it's going to make your life better. And when you have a wife who will go to a comic book shop with you and actually get you to buy more stuff than you would have maybe bought on your own or seek stuff out for you, you're doing well in life. And I got to say, I'm quite satisfied with my lot in life, other than having some really noisy neighbors. But decapitation is minor. Well, I mean, it only took the top of Nancy's skull off there, and it gives you a preview of what's inside. So that's cool too. Yeah. So we got one. I've never had one before. This one's from. If I can open it and look here. 1963. Number 191, July 1963. That's awesome. Looking forward to that. And I'll tell you what, the whole vote Sluggo and she crosses it out with Nancy. That's by the way, back cover is the front cover. So I guess I at least still have, I see what the cover looks like. I remember this because I've just read that whole Nancy Wears Hats book. And that was a comic they were doing where he was running. Well, they were both running, I think, for like class president. Something like that. I think it was class president. And they were using, dirty tactics against one another, changing signs and all that other stuff. I think it's the same with Finns, man. Like, I remember Nancy comics when I was a kid, being in the paper and stuff, and I didn't really care that much about Nancy. I was, of course, I was a big-time fan of Snoopy, Peanuts. I remember liking Garfield a lot when I was younger. Not as much now. I kind of lost my taste for Garfield. I remember reading, Wizard of Id and BC and Hagar the Horrible, and they were fine. Beetle Bailey. But Nancy, I don't know. I was always kind of, there's Nancy. Okay. And just this last year or so, this dude started posting Nancy comics on Twitter. And, you know, you see them, you kind of scroll through, they pop up, and a couple of them, I was like, they're really funny. And then I followed the dude, so I'm reading a lot of them. I'm like going, dude, Bushmiller's awesome. He's got like his weird little sort of, his own little sense of humor, and he do some cool stuff. And so I'm becoming like a Nancy fan. The old lady does the same when we go to Second and Charles. The way they pack their back issues, long boxes, irritates me no end, so she plumbs the depths. Yeah, a lot of times we'll hit the dollar bin, and somehow, I mean, the dollar bin at this place I go to, there's, I want to say like maybe 5 long boxes with the dollar comics. I mean, they got a lot of back issues. They got tons and tons. But I haunt the dollar stuff to see what I can get. And once I've got a lot of a run put together on cheap comics, then it's like, okay, let me fill in the other issues I need, and I'll spend a little bit more money. So there's about 5 boxes or so. And somehow, if I start on this end over here, she'll start over here and find all the cool stuff. And if the next time I start over on this end, she'll start over here and she finds all the cool stuff. Now, yesterday, she was in the more like $2 to $3 bin. And I was finding, and I'll show you in a minute, I was finding a ton of crap that I wanted over in the dollar stuff. They just dumped a bunch of cool stuff in there. And it happened to be stuff that I'm actually actively collecting, because I'm really trying to, like, okay, stick to the stuff you're actively collecting, not the stuff that's cool, but, you know, stick to it. And they just dumped a bunch. The last 2 weeks, they've dumped a bunch of stuff that I was looking for. So she was over in the $2 and $3 one. And then I sat down with a huge pile. And I'm going through my little checklist. Okay, no, I got that one. I need that one. I got this. I got this. I got this. I need this and this. And as I'm doing it, she's, you know, how about these? Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. I need those. I need those. Okay, great guy. And then so I ended up still with a pretty big pile of comics. And I'm walking up to the front, and I'm kind of counted through them. I'm like, okay. I mean, you know, they're dollar books, so that's cool. That's not that bad. And then when I get up there, I put the pile down, and the one on top is like $3. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, she was giving me a bunch of ooh, wonder how much money I'm just spending right now. So, anyways, I figure as we chat, we'll go through some of these. Outsiders is one of the books that I'm collecting. Of course, Batman and the Outsiders and Outsiders. This is annual number 1, which is kind of a cool painted cover. I kind of dig that. But obviously, Jim Aparo was big with the Outsiders, not doing the art in this one. But that's kind of what got me into it. And also, some of the character designs, it's like, they're just weird, like the costumes. And I don't know, for some reason I really like that. Like they're so wrong, they're right. So I found a bunch of Outsiders that I was going for. And I remember, you notice this is like, if I can get it focused on there, $1.50. So this is one of the books that DC went with the nice paper, you know, the really good paper. And I remember, I want to say Teen Titans was another one. And I think Marvel Alpha Flight was one of those. And I still remember when they went to the upgraded paper. Here's the interior of one. Is this Alan Davis? No, this is Jim Aparo. Okay. Alan Davis did a few. But I remember when they went to the upgraded paper, some of the comics didn't look that good. It's like the colorists hadn't figured out how to do coloring on this new paper yet. And some of it would look a little, I remember you're going, I'm spending more for this, and it actually looks worse than the newsprint. That doesn't seem right to me. But gradually they figured it out. And obviously, you know, I think now they kind of, being honest with you, I think colorists nowadays kind of overdo it with some of this stuff. Because, you know, you're doing, the pencilers and the inkers are still doing all the shadow on the characters. Man, I just wrinkled the tape. Good Lord. What a week. The pencilers and inkers are still going with the shadowing and stuff. And then the colorist comes in and colors in a 3D way, and it doesn't work well with the inking. It's like you either need to have your penciler doing a 3D effect with the inks and, you know, the shadows and all that other stuff. Or you need to have the colorist doing it. Like one of them needs to be the key on that, and the other one needs to recede a little bit. So I think I like flat colors, I think, better, honestly. I'm probably a weirdo in that regard. But yeah, some of it doesn't work that well. Of course, also now I put this one back in the plastic and I got like a bunch of air in there. I'm telling you what, man, it's not my day. There we go. You gonna lay flat now? Good boy. Man of War. My dedicated hunt is strictly bronze Marvel Conan. That is well pilfered in my area. However, I recently scored the entire run of King Conan. Whoa! That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all, man. This will sound terrible, but I'm thinking about kind of getting rid of the Conan. Not Savage Sword. I got a bunch of those, and I'm keeping them for sure. But the Conan and Cole and King Conan comics, I'm going, I don't think I'm going to dedicate myself to trying to fill these runs out. And I might get rid of them, dude. We'll see. I might post like what I have, maybe on Twitter or something. And if there's anything I got that you want, man, you could have it. But it's sort of because I'm running out of room. I just bought a huge pile of comic books. I'm running out of room, and I'm going, I got to trim some stuff. So I got to start looking at things that I love it, but I'm not really dedicated to collecting it, so I might need to get rid of these. I'll probably, if I found some Conans like in the dollar bin, I'd probably buy them and then maybe just give them to charity so I could read them. But yeah, so I'm having to maybe get rid of some of that. The omnibus coming out from Titan are amazing if you're not interested in keeping the info. Yeah, but see, that's my other problem, because the omnibuses are awesome, right? Well, I'll get info to you, Man of War, one way or the other. We'll figure it out. But I like the omnibus idea, although to me they're hard to read, and I do love to read the things. But it's like I don't have any bookshelf space either. It's easier in a way for me to put comics in boxes than it is for me to put books on shelves. I need to add a little shelf space to my office, but yeah, basically I have too much crap is my main problem. Batman is back. That was some of that great period where Batman was quitting everything. I call it the take this job and shove it period of Batman. Where he was going, I quit Justice League. That's Firefly, right? Taking out Halo? Who did that cover? Yeah, Brian Boland. Brian Boland. How about that? Nice. Nice. So the other thing I grabbed a bunch of, and this is the thing this is where I spent most of my money. Dude, West Coast Avengers. I collected West Coast Avengers when I was a kid, and I'd gotten rid of them. And it was one of those where it was like, yeah, I'd like to recollect some of that stuff for sure. Yeah, but we'll see. Like if I find it, cheap, I'll grab a few. And I grabbed a bunch at one comic shop. There were a few like in the 50-cent bin. So I grabbed a couple, but I was like, it's sort of back burner. The last 2 weeks at the main shop I'm going to now, like a ton of these in the dollar bin. I've probably added 30, 40 of these things to my collection in the last couple of weeks that I was not expecting to. I'm like, oh my God. I think I'm maybe 25 to 30 away. A warehouse. I know I keep saying that. I need to build a second story on my house for all my crap. But I think I'm like 25 to 30 away from getting the full run of West Coast Avengers. Just like that. I'd say in the last maybe month or two, I went from maybe having 5 or 6 issues to being almost complete. You never know. And that's why, like, I'm going through going, oh my God, here's another one. Oh, here's some more of them. Here's another. It's a lot of comic books. But, like, dude, I mean, how often am I going to find all these damn things just right here for $1? Gotta go for it, man. So I went for it, all right. But yeah, I was a big West Coast Avengers fan when I was a kid. Buscema was doing the Avengers book, and I loved his art on that thing. It was great. And then the Wackos were like, Milgram was maybe still doing most of the art when I was first collecting it, and then they went to John Byrne. Oh, man, he did some gorgeous stuff. I was just reading an old Marvel team up last night, and I showed it off on here. I got it out of the 50 cent bin, but it was it's Bill Mantlo and John Byrne. And so it's Hulk and Spidey and Wood God and these evil government dudes, the main leader of which looks like Spock from the original pilot, the Cage, but without the pointy ears. But I swear to God, it's the same, like, that sort of, what do you call it? Kind of sweater that they wore with the neck. And I know Byrne is a huge Star Trek fan, so I'm like going, that's not a coincidence. He was doing evil Spock here. But it's like, I'm reading it and I'm just going, oh my God, man, this is gorgeous. Byrne's version of Spider-Man was really, really good. Such good stuff. But yeah, so I remember when they went to Byrne, and I think I stopped collecting somewhere in that period. Wonder Man's Finest. Yeah, Wonder Man was one of those characters that just like, he didn't gel for so long. He went through so many costumes. Look at that Tigress, Scarlet Witch. Oh my God, John Byrne was just fucking nuts. Just nuts. But yeah, they finally kind of got a costume that worked. And I remember they did the Wonder Man series. And I've read a few of those, and I liked them, where he's an actor and all that stuff. But yeah, like the first Marvel comic I ever went out and bought was Incredible Hulk number 321. And it was basically, and the reason I picked it up, because I was brand new to comics. I was with my dad at a 7-Eleven. It's on the stand. And there were other comics there, obviously, too. But this one has Hulk, like, on the cover. And, like, all the Avengers are attacking him. And I was like, dude, this guy's like a bunch of people in it. That's pretty rad. Yeah, and of course, I knew who Hulk was. But, and I would have known a few characters, but I didn't know all the characters back then. And but buying that Hulk book got me into Avengers and West Coast Avengers because they had teamed up for that one. Dude, you know what? U.S. Agent also, I haven't read enough of him when he joined the West Coast Avengers for what they did with the character. But he was a good character in Captain America. He had a really good sort of story arc for sort of where he began and where he went. And then when he shows up in West Coast Avengers, it's kind of like they said, yeah, we're going to ignore that. Now he's Guy Gardner. We want our own Guy Gardner here at Marvel so we can, straw man people who disagree with us politically. It ain't new, unfortunately. And, but I don't know if there's more to the story than that. That's why I'm looking forward to reading a bunch of these. Oh, guest starring Darkhawk. Yeah. There's Claw on the cover. Nice. What does it say? U.S. Agent, Spider-Woman, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye. I remember when they went from West Coast Avengers to Avengers West Coast, too. And it was because Marvel wanted all the Avengers books to be next to each other on the shelves alphabetically. So Solo Avengers became Avengers Spotlight. West Coast Avengers became Avengers West Coast. I was going to the comic domain back in those days. Right by my high school. remember going and looking for like the new West Coast Avengers. I'm like, what the hell? It's not here. And Mike, dude who owned the place. No, they renamed it. It's over there now. Oh, okay, cool. This is Blood Ties, part 3 of 5. No idea. Oh, Gambit's in this one? Not a Gambit fan, to be quite honest. Beast, no, looked like War Machine came into this point. So I love Jim Rhodes. I don't know if I ever liked the name War Machine, particularly. Oh, dude. Hawkeye versus U.S. Agent. Cool. Look how many of these things I got. It's stupid. I'm still not done. I couldn't believe it. It was just like, I can't believe they just dropped all these. Because the thing is, and a lot of you other comic folks will know this. Oh, Mantlo and Golden Micronauts turned me into a collector. Byrne turned me into an artist chaser. Yeah. And, there's some later era Byrne where you're kind of going, I don't think he's putting the effort in. But mostly what he did was just friggin' I don't know what it is like about him. I guess that's the same with all these artists, right? It's just a few simple lines, but it's where they put them and the thickness and the this. I mean, of course, some of that's an inker, but he inked his own stuff too. But like, I think I want to say the book that like really opened my eyes to John Byrne, because remember, I started really collecting more like 86, 87, right around in there, was Sensational She-Hulk, which also made me a She-Hulk fan. And that's when I started going back and looking for old issues of Savage She-Hulk. Because at the time, oh, all right, Lady Gwendolyn, I will see you in a bit. At the time, I could get the old Savage She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, and Spider-Woman's for 25 cents, the back issues. And I was a high school kid. I was working off of like allowance. I wasn't even working yet. And so I was just like friggin' crazy for comic books. I couldn't get enough of them. So I was like, dude, 25 cents? Hell yeah. And I don't care. Okay, Ms. Marvel. I don't know what the hell Ms. Marvel is, and then I kind of got to liking the comic books. Yeah, so here's the New Mutants stuff. Now, these are more like in the $2 range. New Mutants is what screwed up my calculations. Dude, I loved the way they drew Inferno. I think that was Inferno. No. What's her name? Was it Inferno? Inferno and something. God, it just hit me that I don't know. Warning, surgeons have generally determined that assistant editor's month is dangerous to your health. Any rate, I loved the way they drew her with the lines going through. Oh, right before, oh, dude, yeah. I just read the facsimiles of Dark Phoenix. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, are they good. Look at that. Got a little Sienkiewicz covers going. I was like, dude, you kidding me? Love it when you find a Sienkiewicz cover. And yeah, that's another one I had to learn to pronounce online, because he was always Sienkiewicz to me. And I still have to, like, okay, Sienkiewicz. Say it right, because you're making comic book videos now. So it needs to seem like you actually know what the hell you're talking about to some degree. We got a couple more of these left. But yeah, New Mutants is another one I got into when I first got into comics. So I'm basically doing the tour of here's all the stuff I had and I want it back now. And I got a lot of it this weekend. The only other thing I picked up was the new Fantastic Four facsimile. Dude, this one's pretty rad too, because like they're going to Hollywood. So you got the page with Hitchcock, with Marshall Matt Dillon. There's Bing Crosby. I think it's supposed to be Bob Hope. It's not the greatest Bob Hope in the world. Jackie Gleason up there. That's kind of cool. Like, I don't know, the Submariner is posing as a Hollywood bigwig or something. It's crazy. Oh, dude, I love Jack Kirby. Dude. That's just comfort food. All right. I've been on for a while. I've been on for a while. Oh my God, I've been on for an hour. Holy shit. I haven't even looked. Okay. All right. We're going to do a quick run through of some new stuff. I don't have any movies to review this week, but there's some really cool action figures floating around on pre-order that you might want to check out. Let's run through these dudes. So there's a bunch of Marvel Legends that popped up this week. You can see there's that more cat-like version of Beast. There's a Daredevil. He's got the do-rag on. Black Widow, Phoenix, and the Phoenix ones, I got to be honest, kind of tempting because Excalibur was another book I really loved. Feral, I remember her when she was Wolfsbane. Speaking of New Mutants, do we have Wolfsbane on any of these? Wolfing out. There she is. Oops, there's Wolfsbane. So that's when she kind of graduated and became darker. And the Silver Surfer, which I did pick up. Basically $28 for each of these. And I really dug the Surfer. And I don't get a lot of... no, Sandman's not out yet, dude. The 18th? I think the 18th. I'd have to check. If you go to McFarlane, I think you can find maybe the release date. If you go to McFarlane Toys on Twitter, scroll down, you can probably find it again. Or do a search, McFarlane Sandman, you can find it. It's coming out this week. So $28, I'm like, that's not bad, and this looks cool. There's not a lot of Marvel Legends that I collect. I'm kind of here and there, stuff that I think looks cool. But speaking of McFarlane, I just will throw out a reminder that definitely on the 18th, the Batgirl figure is going up for pre-order. And I am hoping to snag one of those. Looks like mixed media on the cape, which is pretty cool. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. You're talking Sandman. I'm thinking of Dr. Midnight. That's this week. I don't know about the Sandman, if it came out or not for pre-order. Why wouldn't it, though? Because they touted that a long time ago. And if they got a Dr. Midnight coming out this week, yeah, you might need to check on that one, like eBay or something. I don't know. Yeah, that kind of slipped through the cracks. I mean, unless I did talk about it on a stream and I've forgotten, which is possible. That's for sure. So we got McFarlane Batgirl, September 18th. Not sure price-wise, probably in the $25 range to $28, something like that. And there's also a classic Scarecrow coming out on the 18th, which is pretty cool. I gotta say, I kind of like that. They did a nice job posing it with all the rest in pieces with no names on the tombstones. Manowar says the only recent Legends I couldn't pass up was Rom. Yeah, Rom's on my shelf, and Rom is one of the reasons I'm like, I got Rom. Gotta get Silver Surfer. Feels like they go together. I don't know if they ever interacted in the comics or not, but damn, they should have. That's for sure. Also on the 18th, we got Gladiator and Deathbird. Now that's going to be on Amazon, apparently. I always dug Gladiator. Basically, Gladiator was one of the Marvel Superman clones, although he's a Superman from another, galaxy. But that's kind of what the idea on him was. The Deathbird sculpt, I'm going to go a little deep on this one. And if you were into indie rock back in the late 80s, 90s, reminds me of Siobhan Fay from Shakespeare's Sister. In their video for Stay, I was totally into Shakespeare's Sister. I always tell my wife, I'm like, there was a point in the 90s where the Venn diagram on my musical interests and disgruntled lesbians were heavily connected, because I was into Shakespeare's Sister, L7. What was that one group? Oh, they did the Galileo. I don't know, man. It was, and I was listening to metal at the same time too. But yeah, I liked a lot of those bands. And anyways, her face, just like, I'm like going, that smile totally reminds me of her in that video. Could they have based it? Probably not. Mondo's 1/6 scale Wolverine is now up for pre-order. I saw it at Entertainment Earth, Two, oh, thank you, Finns, for hanging out with us. I appreciate it, brother. You might want to look at there might have been, no, I think, yeah, the Dr. Midnight's the main thing you're interested in. I don't think I had anything else that was going to really super grab you. You might want to look at it later anyway. So Wolverine, $250. It is going to ship apparently January 2026. Look, I ain't telling anybody how to live their life, especially, you know, when I'm doing things like this at a comic book shop. Although I didn't spend no $250 on an action figure, but hey, Raimi, what's cooking, man? Welcome to the chat. But like, dude, that X-Men 97 of like Logan and the leather jacket and stuff was pretty rad for like $25. What, I don't know what $250 gets you in plastic. Some of those numbers freak me out. Like, if you could get me a mint condition Shogun Warrior for $250, I get it, man. Those were like blow mold. They fell apart. Like, if you got one in mint condition, actually mint condition, you'd be going for like $1,000 probably. But $250, it's like, ooh, that's a lot. And I mean, it looks very cool, you know. I'm not saying that, but I don't know what you're going to do with that you couldn't do. If you're talking about putting it on your shelf, look, if it's an investment, I get it, fine. But on your shelf, a $25 similar Wolverine X-Men 97 figure, you're going to be able to pose it. You're going to be able to do cool stuff with it, have fun with it. Look, most of the stuff that it's on my shelf is like, right, it just, it kind of just sits there. And it makes me happy to look at the characters, and that's it. Yeah, and a kid can't play with it. That's for damn sure. No kid's going to be playing with that. But at any rate, it is coming out. And if you are into it, man, go for it. And God bless you. Just make sure you have the money for it. Don't go into debt buying action figures, guys. Don't do that. I'm only buying all the crap I'm buying is because I'm in my 50s and I make a decent salary at this point. I couldn't have been doing this in my 20s or 30s at all. Anyhow, also, this is on the 19th. Exclusively at Target as part of their 5th annual Fall Geek Outs, Mystique. And that is a version of Mystique that I really, really, really dig. And Storm. And that is a really nice sculpt on that Storm. If you go look at, like, I don't know, if you can go find a good, really high-res pic of it online and zoom in on that face, there's honestly a little bit of a Halle Berry in the face, I think. But it's really executed nicely, man. Those are $25, right? So again, look, 250, 25, 250, 25. I don't know. People are into that. The Gamerverse Punisher Nick Fury 2-pack is up for order on the 25th at Amazon. I'm guessing I love Mohawk Storm, dude. That was my Storm when I got into the X-Men. I don't know if they've done a Marvel Legends of Mohawk Storm. I need one of those if they do. Other than the year-long pre-ordered Mezco's already committed to, I pumped the brakes. Yeah, I know. The high-end stuff, a lot of that's really cool. But it's like, dude, I don't know what you're going to do with it that you can't do with a $25 figure. Unless you're doing some really, really groovy stuff. But so Amazon 25 on the 25th, I guess like $50 to $60 for it. It's pretty cool. They look pretty cool. I dig them. And then on October 2nd, a 2-pack of Star Fox and the Champion of the Universe. Not to be confused with Master of the Universe, which, by the way, something coming up that Man of War might dig. So that's coming out on October 2nd, probably the same price as the other 2-pack. And then on October 5th, the Marvel Legends Secret Wars Iceman goes up for sale. And I don't have prices on a lot of these. But re-release the Punisher game. I don't know. They're putting out a new Punisher comic, though. that looks like it's going back to the real Punisher. So Marvel might have learned its lesson on that one. And I know that one dude who played him in the TV series, recent TV series, dude, my daughter. Okay, I got to tell you something. I love my daughter, and I raised her on a lot of old crazy stuff, like Herculoids. She is in so many ways a girly girl. Likes a little of the gothy stuff too, but she's a girly girl, big time. You know, Taylor Swift, the whole 9 yards. Loves the Frank Castle Punisher from that TV series. A friend of hers turned around. She's like, "Oh, I love Frank. I love Frank," as she calls him. I'm like, "Oh, what?" She also watches true crime like a friggin' crazy person too. Yeah, so I don't know, but they might be getting back into the Punisher business again. They might have learned their lesson on that one to stop screwing with Punisher, because damn, he's popular. So that's coming out on October 5th. Now, right before I was getting ready to go on, McFarlane dropped a couple other things. Although one of them, I think actually they did drop maybe a day ago. But we got, these are deluxe figures. McFarlane Batman Returns Catwoman and Batman pre-order September 19th. Now they also got a Max Shrek and a Penguin. And if I'm completely honest, I hated the crap out of that version of the Penguin. Kind of ruined the movie for me. I know a lot of people love it. I did not love it. That movie, if you could have, like, you know, the way they de-Jar Jarred Star Wars at one point, one of those, if somebody could have de-Penguinized this movie and just give me Batman and Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman and Max Shrek, because he's part of that, awesome. I did not need the Penguin in that movie. From Frazetta Girls, Man of War. Now, first, they just posted this, right? It's a teaser. I think it's Death Dealer. Said like, oh, coming soon, right? Okay. But I clicked the link over to their website. And what do I see coming soon? And I'm going, did I see these before? I don't think I saw these before. It's like, it's a rotating image. So I grabbed still shots. It's Masters of the Universe style Conan and John Carter and Death Dealer. And I'm like, dude, depending on the price point on those, I might have to get them. I might have to get those. Yeah, because that's pretty rad, and I like the style of it. So yeah, I thought of Man of War when I saw that, because I know. And look, those might have more like a $25 sell through. It might be more like that. I don't know though. Just says coming soon. But if you go, you could get a better look at it. No, I don't think it's Super 7. It could be Super 7. I don't know. But it's on the Frazetta Girls website. So go there. You can check it. It's right there front and center when you first go to the site. And at first I'm like, oh, is that what that teaser was for? And then I'm looking at the teaser and I'm like going, no, that doesn't look like a Masters of the Universe style. I think that's like a full on like Death Dealer figure, or maybe it said the hashtag Death Dealer. So I'm assuming, but maybe I don't know, maybe it's something else or another image from one of those paintings. Yeah, pricing is going to be key, Man of War. But that's why I thought on those, since it's the old style, you know, and it's like a blister card. Is that what they call those? No. Shell? I don't remember what they call them, but that might not be that bad price-wise. That might not be bad. And shoot, John Carter, and I wanted to get that other John Carter they had with Woola, and I was like going, it's too much. I don't know where the hell I'm going to put this thing. I'm not going to do it. But I'm like, dude, I might do that. I might do that. That's pretty friggin' rad. I just was reading a bunch of those John Carter Marvel comics. Holy crap. And dude, Vosberg, I was showing, I think in the last stream, he could draw a Deja Thoris. I'm just saying. He drew a Deja Thoris that'll stand with any Deja Thoris that has ever been drawn. Holy moly. We got a few comic booky things coming February 2026 from Tomorrow's Tomorrow's Publishing. Jim Aparo, brave and bold artist. It is a retrospective of his work from his time in advertising art to Charlton Comics through his heyday in the 1970s, which was I really like Frank's John Carter. Okay. Yeah, I get that, but I just love the character, and I dig having, yeah. Icon. Oh, it might be Icon. You're right, Man of War. Anyhow, Jim Aparo, awesome stuff. You might want to check that out. Taschen has a Carl Barks Donald Duck collection coming out in November, covering work from 1942 to 1950. Collects Lost in the Andes, Luck of the North, Donald Duck and the Mummy's Ring, and Donald Duck Finds Pirate Gold. Get it right now on Amazon for $200. December 2025 delivery. Taschen does really good work, and Carl Barks, unbelievable art. So $200. I'm just talking about a Wolverine, but that might be worth $200. That might be worth $200. Also, this is kind of cool. Clover Press is reprinting classic Dick Tracy through Backer Kit. Fulfillment is expected by May of 2026. Now, the Tier A is a 4-book bundle. It's $110. The covers are done by Jerry Ordway, Stuart Kenneth Moore, J.K. Snyder III, and Juan Jose Rip. I assume is how you pronounce it. Maybe Reap. RYP. The covers are really nice, man. They're really nice. And I love old Dick Tracy comic strips. So might be worth it for $110. It's 4 books. Like I said, covers. I don't know if it says what years it covers, but so keep in mind, it's a cover done by like a Jerry Ordway. The comic strips it's Chester Gould. It's his stuff. Fantagraphics has the oversized paperback edition of Peanuts Every Sunday, 1952 to 1955, coming October 7th. $35 at their website. I want to say that Nancy book that I was talking about was Fantagraphics, and it's good quality. Very nice. Couple movie DVD things. Death Wish. 5-disc collection. Coming from Kino Lorber, November 25th. $53 on Blu-ray at their website. So we're talking 5 Death Wish flicks. Obviously in 2, it's a slipcase with 2 whatever packages in it. So dude, Death Wish, more relevant than ever lately. If you remember what happened on a train earlier this week, that's basically, so Death Wish was kind of in the aftermath of, was it Bernie Getz? Was that his name? I think shooting some kids on a subway because he'd had enough of crime. And that's kind of what spawned the Death Wish movies. And I aimed to stand. I know, yeah. The Taschen stuff is expensive, man. Nice presentation, but yeah, it's a tough one. So that's kind of where Death Wish comes from. And I swear to God, New York seems like it's going right back there. They're Thelma and Louise in it right off a cliff. Also from Kino Lorber, sorry. 4K ultra high def restoration of Peter Sellers' Pink Panther films, all 5 of them. Now this is coming soon. I don't know anything about pricing or anything like that yet. Holy God, do I love that stuff. Especially, I want to say it's Return of the Pink Panther. So the one where he's going into the castle, trying to get across that moat. I've probably seen that like 100 times on TV. Okay, yeah, well, no discounts at Barnes & Noble, but what can you do? But, there's Anton. Hey, man, what's happening, brother? Yeah, so anyways, I've probably seen that movie like 100 times. It is a go-to for me of just like, I need something stupid to laugh at. I love that one. So I might pick this one up. We'll see. I don't care that much about 4K, and I do have a couple of the movies, but good stuff, man. Trailed with the Big Bang for the Blast. I think it's trailed with the big. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Anton. With the Big Bang for the Last. Okay, we'll figure that out. And the last one here is a Tom and Jerry collection. Now, I will be honest with you. Actually, not a huge Tom and Jerry fan. The other film that's really good is I got you. Yeah. Oh, The Party. I like The Party. The Party's good. Peter Sellers was genuinely mentally ill, to be honest with you. This is not like a secret at this point. He had wives who have talked, and it was not pleasant. But that dude could be funny as hell. I just watched that After the Fox, I think was what it was called. He's just so weird in it, but it was good. He was funny. So Tom and Jerry, I've never actually been a massive fan, but God, they won a lot of Academy Awards. And this, of course, is Hanna-Barbera when they were at MGM. And when Tex Avery was at MGM, he got kind of pissed off because they stole a lot of his gags. He didn't like that. But the Tom and Jerry cartoons are quite beautiful. They just never have resonated with me like Looney Tunes. But from the Warner Archives collection, on December 2nd, the Golden Era Anthology, 1940 to 1958, 6-disc set on Blu-ray. I did not see a price, so keep your eyes peeled if you are a big fan of Tom and Jerry. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, for some reason, it was just always like, yeah, he's trying to kill the mouse, I guess. I don't know. They didn't strike me as funny as like the Looney Tunes. Oh, dude, I'm loving the Looney Tunes on Tubi right now. There's so many old weird ones I had not seen. That's fun stuff. Anton says, one of my favorite lines that he said was, I used to have a rigor personality, but I had to say, yeah. Yeah, and the funny thing with him, it's not even so much about the lines. It's the way he delivers a lot of stuff. Have you ever seen it's a blooper from it might have been his last Pink Panther movie, where he was masquerading as like this Italian gangster in Hong Kong. You know, he's kind of doing the mafioso thing. And it's him and a bunch of guys in, I think they're showing the banned ones, Anton. I saw something that makes me think they are. I think it's complete, and there probably will be disclaimers to tell you you're a bad person for seeing it or liking it, but I think they are on there as well. I think it is complete. I will not swear to that, though. You might want to look into it. But at any rate, he and a bunch of guys are in this elevator, right? And I think the scene is, I think he might have something inflatable on him, and it's like leaking. So there's like this little fart sound. And they're trying to get through this scene. And every time the little fart sound happens, he starts laughing. And then everybody else breaks down in this elevator. And you got like 5 or 6 guys in there that over and over and over again, they're losing it because of this little fart noise that gets made. And you're going, that's guys. I don't know what it is, but that's guys. We laugh at that kind of stuff, man. That's a good point, Ramey. The last true silent movie stars. Yeah, they did have them talking a couple things, but you're right. That's a good point. They are. And again, the quality on those things is insane. Some of the much later stuff, just like with Looney Tunes, the quality went down because of the budgets and things. But when Hanna-Barbera were doing them, they're very high quality. There's really a lot of beautiful animation there. Anyhow, yeah, so I think the bad ones are going to be on there. And I'm not positive, but I saw somebody asking that question. So, but look into it. They might be there. Oh yeah, the Michael Caine impression. I've seen a lot of that, of different Michael Caine impressions, and Michael Caine being like, what the hell are they talking about? I don't sound like that. And I think Michael Caine, there's a clip on YouTube of him doing the Michael Caine impression that everybody does of him. It's the same with Shatner, right? Anybody who does Shatner, I don't understand what you're saying. And it's like, Shatner really doesn't sound like that. He would do dramatic pauses on Star Trek. But what's his name? Kevin something invented that routine, invented that Shatner impression. And then everybody started doing a version of his impression, but not actually doing a version of William Shatner. And so Shatner's always like, I don't talk like that. What are you talking about? That's not me. Well, it's not. It's a funny impression of him that a guy did. That that same guy did a pretty good Columbo. At any rate, Kevin Pollak, nice work, Man of War. Kevin Pollak, yeah. Oh no, they're funny as hell. But you're going like, you watch old Star Trek, you're like, he doesn't really talk like that, you know. Shatner's, I mean, he's a little over the top, but he's actually pretty damn good in a lot of those things at delivering the impact of the lines. All right, dude, I've done almost an hour 30 on 3 hours of sleep. Think about that. I've done now a live stream for about half the time that I managed to sleep last night. And I'm losing it. So I'm going to wrap this dude up. But I will say coming this week, Justice League America number 37 and Justice League Europe 13 tomorrow on Justice League Monday. We're going to do a flip through review of those. 38's coming up. 38. Oh boy. Everybody thinks of Justice League International being like, hee, funny. There's a lot more to it than funny. And number 38, damn. So we're getting close to that one. On Wednesday, I mentioned this, I'm doing a review of the 1973 Genie cartoon. The first voice acting gig of Mark Hamill. I know a lot of us aren't real that happy with Mark Hamill. But yeah, that was his first voice acting gig. 4 years before Star Wars, yeah. So it was probably one of his first paying gigs, period. And on Friday, I'm doing a review of a book. I want to say it's 1908. 1908. G.K. Chesterton, The Man Who Was Thursday. Weird title. It's one of those things that popped up when I was looking at stuff like on Project Gutenberg. And I think I'd already read some Chesterton and liked it. But I hadn't read his fiction yet. And I was like, oh, what the hell? Give it a try. You can't tell from the title what it is. It is a very odd book. It's a bit allegorical, but really quite enjoyable. I'm going to do a review on that one. That'll probably get about 15 views. Although sometimes those surprise me. Sometimes the book ones end up doing very, very well for me. So everybody, thanks for being in the chat. Ramey, Anton, Man of War, Fins the Spook was in here earlier. Of course, Lady Wendelin, the light of my life. My dog is now barking. I don't know what he's doing. Thank you all for being here. Hope you have an awesome Sunday. I am going to maybe try to, I don't know if I'll nap, but I'll go eat some Frankenberry and watch a stupid movie. Maybe I'll watch a Pink Panther movie. We'll see. Or maybe I'll watch some of my new speed buggies. I will see you guys, like I said, next Sunday for a live stream. I already mentioned what I have going on this week. My brain is grinding to a halt. I need to go yell at a dog. So I will see you guys hopefully soon. God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. And yeah, you know the rest. Bye-bye, everybody.